Hello, I'm Mr. Polk and welcome to my kitchen. Today we want to take a look at chocolate chip cookies. And I know it's something that you might make a lot, but we want to go ahead and look at the ingredients and the mixing and the forming and what really makes a chocolate chip cookie a really good cookie. So we're going to start with the fats. You're going to use a butter flavored vegetable shortening and a butter. And we use both of these because the butter has a lower melting temperature. Crisco has a higher melting temperature. They melt at different times when the cookie bakes, and it gives us that shape that we want. For the sugars, we're going to use a white sugar, 4 ounces, and that was 3 ounces of each of the fats. 4 ounces of white, 4 ounces of brown, and then that's going to get the ½ teaspoon of salt. And then we're going to take a look at our flour. For the flour, we're going to use a pastry flour that's been sifted, and 10 ounces. You can use AP flour. Pastry flour is just made from the soft wheat. We learned about the gluten level, and we want to have a structure in our cookie, but we don't want it to be, super hard, and we don't want it to have like that tough structure like say bread would have. So what I've done is I put my sifter on my bowl, on my scale, and I've zeroed it, tared it out, and I'm just going to go ahead and put 10 ounces in here. Okay, so we're going to go for 10 ounces of pastry flour. Of course, I'm on TV here, so I'm probably going to put more than 10, 9, 9, 8, 9, 9. There we go, 10. And then we're going to sift this, and you can either just go back and forth. I like to do the hand thing, and we're sifting it. And the reason we're going to sift it is the flour goes in last, because we're doing the creaming method. And when the flour goes in, I don't want to have to overmix it, so I don't want to have any lumps. So any lumps that come from the moisture of the flour sitting in the container, this just came out of a brand new 50-pound bag, but you always want to sift it. And then you want to check it when it gets close to the edge there. You might get a couple lumps in there. They'll probably break apart usually. So we just want to take our spatula there and just press them into the sieve. And then give it a little tap, and now we've pretty much sifted our flour. And then here's a technique you want to get used to doing, and that is the flour and the ingredients and the teaspoon of the leavening, or I'm sorry, the ½ teaspoon of the leavening, the baking soda, goes right in here. And you want to blend it together because you want to have the leavening suspended in the flour so it's even. And remember, the name of the game here is we're not overmixing the flour. So that's done. The last thing we have to prepare is the egg. And I want to stress this on the recipe, is it's 3 ounces of egg, not 3 whole eggs. So I've already cracked and blended 3 eggs. You're going to have to do that. And you're going to have to weigh it to 3 ounces. I'm doing this on purpose. I want you to see this is 3 eggs. And then I want to weigh out the 3 ounces. And I want you to see that's 1, 9, 2, 2, 4, 2, 6, 2, 8, getting there, 2, 9. There's our 3 ounces of eggs. So if you would have used 3 whole eggs, you would have put this much extra liquid in your recipe, and that wouldn't have been right. Now, the other thing I like to do is I like to put my 1 teaspoon of vanilla in right away, a little eye of nude here. We put in a teaspoon of vanilla, and then I know that it's in because I can see it in my egg mixture. And now we're going to prepare to mix these guys. So we're going to take the bowl of our KitchenAid mixer, and we're going to put the fats in. We're going to blend the fats for the creaming method. Then we're going to put the other fat, and then we put in our sugars. We do our brown, and we do our white, and then one of the things with cookies is the salt goes in as well, because this is what's going to get mixed up the most, and the salt will be distributed. If I happen to put the salt in with the flour, it might not be as distributed as I would like it to be. Now, let's take a look at how we blend these guys together in the mixer. Okay, let's take a look at mixing. We're going to bring our mixer up, and here's the thing. You got to realize, right here you can see the speeds are right kind of at the top there. Mixers have a variable speed. They don't just have 0 and 10. So we're going to build our way up on stir, which is the KitchenAid 1, and then take it to 2, to 3, and to 4. And now we're going to time it. We're going to run it for anywhere between 30 to 45 seconds. A lot of times if people make a mistake at this phase, they make the mistake in the mixing phase. They think I can just mix it, mix and mix, and that really isn't the case. So we're at 15 seconds. We're going to keep dipping this around to 30, and we're probably going to push it to the 45. And this is really the creaming method. We're trying to cream together the sugar and the fat. If we overmix it, I always like to say this mixture should always look chocolate chip cookie color. If you overmix it, you're going to incorporate too much air, and it's going to get light, and then your cookie's going to spread too much. So we're around the 45 mark. I'm going to shut it down, and then I'm going to go ahead and give it a scrape. When you scrape, make sure you get whatever is on the flat beater, get that off, and then go ahead and give everything a nice scrape. Then we're going to add the egg. Now I've got the egg in a glass bowl, so I'm not going to add it while it's mixing. I do want to use my spatula and make sure I get it all in there. And then now it's the same procedure. We're going to bring this up. We're going to go stir. We're going to go 2. We're going to go 3. Wait till it incorporates, and then 4. And then we're going to look at the clock, and we're going to go for 30 to 45 seconds. Okay, it's mixing around very nicely. Okay, give it about 20 seconds. 25. And the next step is going to be the flour. The flour you're going to do on speed 1 because we don't want to overmix the gluten. So now we're pushing our 35-ish. Catch it real close to 40. That looks really nice. I'm going to shut it down. When I shut it down, I'm going to make sure I give it a good scrape. Anything left on the flat beater, I always want to scrape down. And I want to make sure I scrape all the way down the bowl. Make everything nice. Now we're going to bring the bowl back up, and we're going to hit it to stir because we don't want to overmix the gluten. Okay, we don't want to overmix the gluten in here. So we're going to do about a third, as we like to say. So notice I'm using a metal bowl so I can go right into the mixer. I'm watching it go around till it's partially combined. And then I'm going to bring in the next third. And then I'm going to do the rest of it. Okay, I'm going to wait for it to combine. When it's, partially combined, I'm just going to shut it down here and just give it a quick little stir. Make sure I don't have flour on the top. Get everything off of the flat beater. Just give everything a nice little blend into the bottom. And then we're going to bring it back up. And we're going to go until it's almost combined. Then we're going to do the chocolate chips. Now what I like to do here is take the metal bowl and put the chocolate chips into the metal bowl. And as you can see here, it is almost combined. I have just a touch of flour there. So I'm going to go to stir. And I'm going to put in the chocolate chippies. And I'm going to let them mix around. And as soon as they're incorporated, I'm going to shut it down. And that's it. You definitely don't want to overmix at this point. Okay, let's take a look at the forming method. So here you can see we have our cookie dough batter. I can take my spatula and kind of go around the edges. Everything looks great. You want to make sure you have the chocolate chips distributed. I mean, I'm sure the guy that gets the cookie with all the chocolate chips is happy, but definitely the guy that gets the cookie with only 3 chocolate chips, he's not happy. Now, this is a technique that I like to do to eliminate over gluten development. And as I take a little bit of the dough and I put it in my hand, on a gloved hand, of course, and then I start to scale these out. And when you scale these out, I'm going to make sure they have a nice look to them like that. And you want to make them even. So we're going to go 1, we're going to go 2, and then 3, and then I'm going to go back over here and get a handful again of the cookie dough. And again, come back here, scoop, Just like that. Like that. Like this. We got 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then we'll do 5 and 6 in the center. And then these are going to go bake in an oven, 375 degrees for approximately 8 to 10 minutes. Okay, so the cookies have been cooking about 4 minutes. So let's go ahead and open the oven cam here, and I want you to see what's happening to the cookie. And normally I don't like to do this, but I want you to see what's happening. Notice the cookies are starting to spread. They're starting to spread, and then the edges are setting up. Once the edges set up, then the inside is allowed to puff up from the leavening, and it's going to give us a beautifully soft and shaped cookie. So these guys are saying, put me back. So let's put them back in the oven. Okay, let's just keep cooking them. So the cookies can bake at 375 anywhere from 8 to 10 minutes. Let's take a look. I don't want to keep opening the oven, but again, this is for the video. This is at about the 8-minute mark, and I want you to see that the cookies are not done, but I want you to see how they've set up. All right, this is beautiful. They've come out to the shape. They're starting to get some brownness on the edges, and the center has puffed up, and that's what we want. That's from the proper mixing. So I don't want to mess these guys up. I'm going to put them right back in. Also, while you're cooking, it's a good idea to carefully rotate them so that they, even though it's a convection oven, you want to make sure the heat is evenly distributed in the oven. So we're going to close those up, and the next time we check on them, they are going to be done. Alright, I can't wait. Let's take a look at these cookies here. We'll open up the oven on the oven cam, and we'll slide these guys out. And look at that. These cookies are beauteous. They've got that little bit of the golden on the edges that sets the cookie. The cookie has puffed up, and it doesn't really have much of a color in the center. You can see that there's just a touch of dampness there left in the cookie. These cookies are beauteous. Okay, so here we have our final product. It's important that everybody likes warm cookies, but you can't have the cookie when it comes right out of the oven because it hasn't set. So you need to let them cool for a little bit so that they set, so that they hold their shape. But one thing you're going to notice, when they were in the oven, they puff up really high. When they sit, that structure does drop a little bit, and it creates what I like to call that perfect wrinkle finish on the top of the cookie. It gives you that wrinkle, and it lets you know that it's a soft cookie. If the cookie doesn't wrinkle, that means you overcooked the cookie and it stays in that hard, crusty shape. The crispiness we want is on the edge of the cookie. So you take a little spatula and carefully take the cookie off, and you can see that we've got a gorgeous browning on the back side of the cookie. When we flip it over, the top of the cookie looks great. It's got the nice edge on it. Okay, it's really what you want when you think of a chocolate chip cookie. If I were to go ahead, it's super soft, but if I were to just sort of break this thing open, you can see the ooey and the gooiness in there, and that's really what you want in a nice drop cookie. And again, you can see your finished product. I have a couple more finished products here as well. And the main reason for the lesson today is to show you how to make a chocolate chip cookie, show you how you really need to watch your steps and focus on the mise en place, the ingredients. Focus on the mixing, focus on the forming of the drop cookie and the baking, and that's going to give you this beautiful cookie that everyone's going to love. So I'd like to say thank you for baking with me today, and I can't wait to bake with you next time right here in Mr. Polk's Kitchen.